Okay, the time has come to start putting the hardware back on this guitar. Kind of scary, kind of exciting. First problem I've run into. So I have these beautiful individual open gear Grover tuners that are going to replace the old inline open gear tuners that were on here before, which I would have loved to have been able to reuse, but one of them got broken. The old celluloid, and it looks like another one is probably on its way to that. Anyway, there wasn't going to be any way of replacing that handle on there, and so I had to get new tuners. And fortunately, was able to find these because these just look great. They're gonna match the style and vintage era of the guitar really nicely. However, first problem I've run into, they come with their own hardware, nice chrome hardware to match the chrome tuners, and these channels, they go on the top end that the tuning pegs come up through, are too big. They're just too big. If I try to get one of these into those holes, it's going to take a lot of effort. I'm going to have to smash them really, really hard, I think, or maybe even drill a bigger hole. And I don't really want to do that. Fortunately, I have an option, but it's not perfect. And that option is the same channels that came with the old ones. The only problem with them is that they are a brass color, gold or brass color, which doesn't quite match the new hardware on the guitar. However, if you look at the hardware itself, if you look at the back end, the actual tuning gears are brass. Therefore, front to back, you actually have a matching concept. So, I'm probably going to just go ahead and go with that because I don't want to mess up the headstock by trying to remount bigger holes for the new chrome hardware. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I will probably have to use the rubber mallet very gently and carefully to smash those back down in there. Noticed that those old channels were really, really tarnished, and so I went ahead and used some Brasso to polish them up, and it looks pretty good. I wasn't really worried if I took some of the gold lacquer off of them, if that's what it was. I wasn't sure if it was brass or if it was gold lacquer. I didn't really mind if I toned that particular color down a little bit. But anyway, they look a lot better being shined up. Even these I am finding are really hard to get back in to the holes. And I'm having to sand them out a little bit with a big drill bit and still just really, really push hard and pound hard with the hammer as carefully as I can, the rubber mallet that is. Mostly I'm just pushing because I just really don't want to take any chances with doing any damage to the headstock or the neck. But it's hard getting them in there. So I think that really reinforces my decision not to use the new hardware. Looking pretty good now. Time to take some Brasso to the tailpiece. Shine that thing up. Okay, a little Brasso, a little elbow grease, and we have a lot shinier tailpiece now. Can't get all the age spots and stuff off of that metal, but we got a lot of tarnish off. I even dug down inside the cracks and got a lot of black stuff out of there. All over the metal. I worked it. So that's going to look nice. Time to begin putting the new
tuners on the guitar. And this could be a tricky business because I'm going to have to drill new holes. So the old tuners were inline. The old tuners were inline tuners. And these ones are individual. So I'm going to have to drill new holes for them. I'm going to have to be careful about that. One thing I'm doing that maybe I totally didn't necessarily have to do, but I'm doing it to protect the wood finish, is there's some rough edges along the facing of the tuning mechanisms where they go against the wood, and if you just you just move it just a little bit, which keeps on happening while I'm trying to screw them in, and it starts putting scratches in the finish. And so what I've done is I took on each of these tuners now is I've taken some 320 grit sandpaper and smoothed down those edges. Otherwise, things are going pretty well, but I'm a little concerned about the fact that some of the screws are not really tightening in the wood because of the holes that were already there. So this has had two different sets of tuning keys put on it in the past, the originals, and then the ones that were put on in the 1990, early 1990s work that was done by luthiers. And I don't think they were using the original tuners. And so in a couple of places I've been able to actually utilize the original hole. In other places I've had to drill new holes. I've had to drill at least one new hole for every tuner, and in some cases too, and that's actually better because, and I don't drill them very far in, I just do enough to start it, and then I screw it the rest of the way to retain as much of the tension as possible from the screw. But I can foresee the possibility. I mean, if I were to start over now, I would probably drive a little bit of wood filler down into those screw holes that were already there, because I can foresee the possibility of someday those screws getting loose and the tuners coming out. And then you would have to do that. You'd have to put some wood filler or something down in there to tighten up the screw holes. So the time has come to put the tailpiece on. Still got the 3 screws. They're not in the best of shape. We'll see if I can get them to screw in alright. And whether they'll be sufficient or further I need to go get some new screws to take their place. But hopefully I can find the right spot on the back of the guitar. I think I can. It's all been kind of covered up a lot with the refinishing effort. Let's see how it goes. So far so good. Got it screwed on. And I found some packing material that I used to cover up the little ends that have kind of sharp stuff on them so they won't damage the finish while I'm waiting to string the thing.